Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mika. My sisters and I are excited to take you on a journey through the life of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and we would love for you to join us. Today, we will begin by learning about ancestors. The Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, was a direct descendant of Hazrat Ismail, the eldest son of Hazrat Ibrahim. Hazrat Ismail had 12 sons. One of them had settled permanently in Hijaz, Arabia. One of his descendants, Fihr, known by his title of Quraysh, was a famous personality of his time. His descendant, Qusay, had the custody of the key of Kaaba. He was responsible for entertaining pilgrims. Qusay's grandson Hashim, from whom the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, traces his descent, was the richest and the most important of Qusay's descendants. Hashim and his brothers organized and dispatched trade caravans and established trade links with foreign countries. With the passage of time, the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him's grandfather, Abdul-Muttalib, became very prominent among the Quraysh. Three incidents of his life are very important: the restoration of the fountain of Zamzam, the dialogue with Abraha, the Christian viceroy of Yemen who had come with a large army to destroy the Kaaba in 571 AD, and the bringing up of his orphan grandson Muhammad, peace be upon him, the last prophet of Allah. His son Abdullah, who was the father of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was married to Amina, daughter of Wahab, who belonged to a noble and illustrious family. On his return journey from a business tour to Syria, he stopped at Yathrib, where he fell ill and died. By way of inheritance, he left a few camels, goats, and a slave girl called Ayman. After the death of Abdullah, Hazrat Muhammad, peace be upon him, was born to Amina at Makkah on 12th Rabiul Awwal, 571 AD. He was named Muhammad, peace be upon him, by Abdul Muttalib. The name being uncommon and unknown among the Quraysh, somebody questioned Abdul Muttalib about it. In reply, he said, "I have named him Muhammad so that his name may be praised on the earth and in the heavens." Now I'm going to tell you about the conditions of Arabia at the time of the birth of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. At the time of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him's birth, the world had completely forgotten the message of the Creator and was lost in the wilderness of polytheism. Arabia was steeped in the worst form of idolatry. The Kaaba was full of idols and every household had its own idol. Stones and trees were also worshipped. There was no belief in life after death and no feeling of responsibility for one's actions. There was no moral code. Drinking, gambling, and other vices were common. Widows and orphans were quite helpless, and slaves were treated most cruelly. Women were looked upon as property without having any right to inheritance. They were treated as articles of trade. They could be bought or sold at will. A man could marry and keep as many women as he could afford. When a man died, his son inherited his wives. Stepmothers could be made legal wives. There was no subtle government and no law in the land. The affairs of each tribe were governed by its own chief. There were rivalries among them, and people would fight for generations on the slightest excuse. Side by side, Arabs had the qualities of heroism, love for liberty, hospitality, and eloquence. This period is known as the Age of Ignorance in the Arab history. Let's move towards the birth and upbringing of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was born among these people. In those days, there was a custom among the Arabs to give their suckling infants in charge of Bedouin women who would take them into the desert and return them to the parents after a few years. The Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, was given in charge of Halima Sadiya. She loved Hazrat Muhammad, peace be upon him, very much, and the Prophet, peace be upon him, always had the highest regard for her. He used to call her my mother. At the age of 4, Halima Sadiya brought him back to his mother, who took him to Yathrib to visit the grave of his father, Abdullah, and also to meet her relatives. During their return journey from Yathrib, Amina died and was buried at Abwa. Hazrat Muhammad, peace be upon him, was brought back to Makkah by Ayman. Abdul Muttalib then took over the charge of his grandson. He showered on him all his love and affection. Unfortunately, this also could not last for a long time as Abdul Muttalib died when the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, was only 8 years old. Then Abu Talib, an uncle of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, took over the responsibility of bringing him up as his son. He faithfully and kindly discharged his duties and loved his nephew more than his own sons. In those days, reading and writing was not common. Therefore, Hazrat Muhammad, peace be upon him, did not get any formal education. When he was 9 years old, Hazrat Muhammad, peace be upon him, began to show signs of an intelligent and inquisitive mind. He loved solitude and would not indulge in playful activities with children of his own age. He was loved by the people because of his sweet and peaceful nature. At the age of 12, he accompanied Abu Talib on a trade journey to Syria and proceeded as far as Basra. There, they met a Christian monk, Bahira, who recognized in Hazrat Muhammad, peace be upon him, the signs of the Prophet as related in Christian books. He advised Abu Talib not to take his nephew too far into Syria for fear that the Jews may recognize him as the future prophet and harm him. After his return from Syria, Hazrat Muhammad, peace be upon him, used to spend long hours in solitary meditation and speak less to the people. He, however, was very particular in helping the poor, the widows, and the orphans. From his childhood, he disliked polytheism and never worshipped idols, nor ate any food that was offered as a sacrifice to them. During his youth, he was a shepherd, which gave him an opportunity for thought and meditation. Now I'm going to talk about Harb-ul-Fijar. Hazrat Muhammad, peace be upon him, was about 15 years old when a sacrilegious war or Harb-ul-Fijar broke out between the Quraysh and Hawazin tribes. The war was so called because it was fought during the sacred months when fighting was forbidden. Hazrat Muhammad, peace be upon him, accompanied his uncles, but he did not take an active part in the war. He only collected the arrows thrown by the enemy and handed them over to his uncles. This was a major event in the life of Hazrat Muhammad, peace be upon him, and one which must have had a great impact on his character. His impression of the war was most probably concerned with the tragic results of the war, the bloodshed, and the unnecessary human suffering. Being the first armed conflict that he witnessed, he could not have escaped its influence on his mild and peace-loving temperament, and he must have developed a very strong and lasting dislike for war. At the same time, his indirect participation in the war also gave him a military experience that is so vital for any person destined to be a leader of people through a major social-religious revolution. Now, let's learn about Hilf-ul-Fazool. As a result of Fijar war, thousands of lives were lost. When the leaders of Makkah saw the effects of the war, they formed a league called Harb-ul-Fijar, with the object of maintaining peace in the region, also for suppressing any violence and injustice and for upholding the rights of the weak, the poor, and the destitute. This alliance was called Al-Fazul after three of the main participants, each of whom was called Al-Fazl. It is also suggested that this alliance was called Al-Fazul because it was made for a noble cause. The name suggests maintaining honor. The Hashemites, under the leadership of Zubair bin Abdul Muttalib, along with some other tribes, assembled in the house of a noble Quraysh, Abdullah bin Judan, and pledged to stand on the side of the oppressed, whether stranger or citizen, against the oppressor and to remove injustice from the land. Hazrat Muhammad, peace be upon him, was among those who attended the meeting and was so impressed by its noble objectives that he remained loyal to it. Later on, he said, "I was present in the house of Abdullah bin Judan at so excellent a pact that I would not exchange my part in it for a herd of red camels, and if now in Islam I were summoned unto it, I would gladly respond." Muhammad Martin Lings. Now I'm going to talk about Al-Sadiq and Al-Amin. In his early life, the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, worked as a shepherd and took care of the families and neighbors' herds. When he grew up, he started to trade. Unlike other businessmen of the time, he was extremely honest and fair in his dealings. Hazrat Saad, his business partner, said, "I was a partner of Muhammad, peace be upon him, in business. I always found him very honest in his dealings. He never picked quarrels nor made any false statement. Alama Shibli Nomani, Siratun Nabi. His honesty and truthfulness impressed the people to such an extent that they gave him the titles of Al-Sadiq, the truthful, and Al-Amin, the trustworthy. They would also entrust their valuables to him for safekeeping. Even after the declaration of prophethood, they had so much faith in his honesty and trustworthiness that they continued to leave their valuables with him for safe custody.